All right, welcome to Ruby Monday. We're going to be learning some interesting things today, courtesy of Jesus, so I'll let him take it away.
Okay, so I have some slides. So let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so today I want to talk about the each method and the map. Is everyone familiar with the each method?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so the one thing is that each and map are just methods. There is nothing special about them. So here is an example. We can have an array and you have 1, 2, 3, 4 and call h on it, and then you can do whatever you want with the elements. So this will print the elements. We go here. Um, yeah, this prints 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the way this works is because of the enumerable module. All these methods like each, map, select, inject, and many others come from this module, which is called enumerable. So here is a link. I will copy and paste it in the chat so you can have it. So this module has many methods that allow for iteration. So you can do things with all the elements in one object. For example, an array. You can see the methods here in the left. You can call the count method to count objects, the drop method, the find method to find objects, max to find the bigger object. So we call, for example, call max on this array, and this gives us 4. Then you have the min method or the reject method. There are many methods here, so take a look on the documentation when you have some time and get familiar with the different methods. But the methods I'm going to cover today are each and the map method because they are the most useful ones. So let me go back to the slides. So enumerable in the wild. So classes like array or range include the numerable method module, and so they can use either methods. So you include enumerable, you get count, you get drop, you get either list of methods. Then you can see if a class has a has this module loaded. If you go to pry or IRB and you can say the class name, for example, array, and then you say include modules, include modules. And this tells us the modules that are included in this class. In this case, we have enumerable, we have this console constants. This is for pry, and this is also pry, the PP object mixin. And then we have the kernel model. Then we can take a look at the range class, which also includes enumerable. You can see it has the same modules, but if we look at the string, for example, we can see that it doesn't have enumerable. It has another module that's called comparable. Okay, so next thing, we are going to implement our own version of each. So imagine that enumerable didn't exist. So how do we implement the each method? So now I'm going to show you some live coding on Atom. So if we have, for example, a class named numbers, and then an initialize with a values array, and the values are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I'm creating an object of this class, and just run numbers. So you can see on the right of the screen, this is the output of the program. Okay. And now I want to implement enumerable, so I can do. I want to implement each method, not all the methods, just each. So I can do this. Which way? So now we get an error, and this error says that each does not exist. Undefined method each. So what we have to do is create a method. Now run the code. Nothing happens now because the method is empty. Okay. So I'm changing from puts to p, so we can see Visual C and nil. Huh? Okay. The next thing is the YL keyword. So this keyword, what it does is call this block. So the block is this code here. And let me make more clear. This here is the block. And this has code. And the code that this has is this. Is print the Y. And where is the Y coming from? Here. Okay. So notice, yeah, I have to delete this because it's not valid syntax. We can see on the right, we get nil. Okay, and this is because we don't have any value here. This is like kind of method. Okay, so now we can say yield want, and we get a want. So what this is doing is calling this with a 1. It's the same as this, okay? It's like we did that when we do yield want. Now if we say yield 10, same, what I did wrong, okay. Yield 10, we get on the output a 10. No, we can say yield 2 times. We say yield 20, we get on the right, on the output, we get 10 and 20. Then we can do yield 30. And same thing, on the output on the right, we get 10, 20, and 30. Okay, so let's now think how we can change this to print our array. And our array is here on the values. So let's try this, see what happens. So what happens here, as you can see on the right on the output, is that the GL is returning the complete, the full array. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but we don't want this because each works with one element at a time. So if we wanted to do I times 2, is not doing what we want because it's doubling the array. We want to double the number. So if you have 1, we want 2. If you have 2, we want 4 in this example. But you can see on the output that's not the result. Not the result you want. Okay, so let's go back. And what we really need here is a loop. In this case, a while loop. So let's do, we also need a counter. Start at 0. While this counter is less than the value size, then we will jail the values. Now let's run this. And what we get is an infinite loop because I didn't increase the counter. So I have to kill the Ruby process because it's an infinite loop. And then now I add 1 to the counter every time and run again. And now we get 5 times the array. And the next step is to use the counter as an index. If we use the counter as an index, we will get the individual elements instead of the full array. So if I run this code, now we have on the output, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now if you remember what I tried before, y times 2, now it's all work. And it's all work because the yield is returning the values 1 by 1 instead of the full array. So now the output we say 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And there we go. You can see 2, 4, 6, 4, 10. So this means we now have each working. So just to demonstrate that this is working correctly, I'm going to change my number class that I made with the array and add the same code. If I delete this, we get the same output. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So and now we have a working each method. We have a while loop with a counter that checks for the size of our array. Then we have the GL keyword, which remember this is not super magic or super complicated. I just is grab this code down here, the block, this code, and it executes it like if it was a method. It just changes the argument for the number from this. So it's like scientists. Okay. So that's each. Now let's move from each to the map method. So the map method is very similar to each. The main difference is that it returns a new array with the change. So if we have of course map. If we have this like here 12345 dot map, then I can say this block, and it will give me a new array with the change numbers. So notice the difference with each and map that many people get confused with is that each, you can see it gives you the original array. So it gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if we do each, I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 map, and then what I get out is my result array. It is a new array, and it's 2, 5, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So that's the main difference. Now, to really understand this, let's implement map. So with this code, I'm going to extend it, implement map. So I'm going to say map per I change each for map, and I can get rid of the puts now because I am not printing the array. I want a new array. So I can say new array, and now on the output we have nothing because map is empty method. Then what we need to do to implement the map method is start with an empty array. I can call it temp, for example, for temporal. Then we want to get our each method that we already made, this, and do this yield n, and then return the array. So what is we are doing here is going over each element of the array, and the array is this one here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm yielding, which again it means we grab the block and we run it with this value. And then one thing that is missing here is we add the result to the temp array. So this, if you are not familiar, is the same than the push method. So this is the same that this, but this one is easier to read. So what happens here is the output from the yield, the output from the block, which is the number that came in times 2, is saved into the array, new array, temporal array, And then when this finish, we return this array. So let's see what happens, and I have a syntax error. Let me see. Okay, I think we are good now. If I print the new array, we can see on the right that I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And notice the difference here. When I did each, what happened is that the results are printed. There is no array here. Okay? There is just printing on the screen. There is no array. But if I do map, then I get an array. And the array is the result, in this case 2, 5, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And it's that because I'm saying times 2. So I can say also times 3, or I can say square. Okay, so that's the map method. And you can see it's very simple. And the key of the map method is two things. One thing, the temporal array, which we create at the start and return at the end. And the second thing is that we are using each. So many of the other, almost any other enumerable method uses each as its base. It's the like a basic, like the basis for the method. Because if we don't do this, what we have to do is copy and paste the code of each, because we have to go over every we have to go over every method, every element of the array. So if we didn't have each, we will have something like this, I think. Let me see. Yes. So we don't use each to implement map. What happens is that we just have a copy of the each implementation. You can see this and this are exactly the same. So we don't have to do that. We can simply call the each method and then do whatever we need to do with it. In this case, save it into a temporary array, and then we return the temporary array. So that's the map method. Then if you want to, I recommend that to learn more, you implement your own methods. So for example, you could implement the select method, which is very simple. What it does is let you filter your array. So I can say, give me all the numbers that are greater than 2, for example. And this returns a new array with 3, 4, and 5 because they are greater than 2. And you can have any other condition. You can say, give me either odd numbers or give me either even numbers. And that's what select does. And the basic idea is the same. You will have to use each and filter your results and return the results. there are also other interesting methods. You have inject, you have sort, group, count, any, all. So you can take any from the list and try to implement it. But I will recommend starting with select because it's the one of the easier ones. Yeah, just I have. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi there. I came in a little bit late, and I was just wondering, the map method that you were talking about,
Yes.
um, is that what the method is doing behind the scenes instead of, whenever you call a dot method on anything?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay, that's what
exactly.
it is, the map.
Exactly.
Okay.
I got here on time for the end of it, Jesus.
Ah,
You got caught.
so what do you think? Any question, something?
Yeah, I mean, I think someone should try it on their own console, see if they can kind of like make a little bit of sense. So, uh, one of the ones that I saw is that push. Has everyone used that push method before? Malcolm?
Yeah.
To
Cool.
push
Jocelyn?
into, yeah, to push into, is it arrays or
Yes.
I guess dictionary types?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Jared, if you're up for it and you don't have to share your camera, but if you can share your screen, then you can test it out on the console. That's always a good way to learn.
Okay.
If you can open up a console and share the screen of your console, we can kind of see what that one's doing.
Okay, let me see what I can figure out here.
Sure. There's a little like a green like icon on the left of the Hangout, and that's a screen share. And you can set it to only share like one window. So.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's been so long since I used Pry. Like, I don't know. I don't know if you guys. I don't think I've told you guys, but I actually got a job like over a month ago, almost 2 months ago now.
Oh, that's awesome! Congrats.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
But I'm using Python, not Ruby. So I'm like learning Python, and it's like so confusing because I was so used to Ruby.
Yeah.
And some of it's similar, but a lot of things are different as well.
It's all right. You know, it's a good sign if you're here. That means you've missed us.
Yeah, I did. I was like, I don't want to forget Ruby. It's like Ruby was my first love, so to speak. It was the first language that I really learned. So
That's cool. Is this a first job, or have you had other coding jobs before?
I would say this is my first real coding job. I mean, I've done like some freelance like WordPress type stuff, but I don't really consider that coding because there's a lot of plugins and themes and stuff that you install.
It's
So
still valid. It's still valid. But that's cool. Congrats. I'm very happy for you. When I was looking for my first gig, one of the places I interviewed, just kind of the same situation. You just want to land something, right? Was a Python shop also. But I didn't.
really?
Yeah,
Nice.
I didn't get that one. I got to stick in Ruby land.
Okay, good for you.
Hey, Jared, how's it coming along with your screen share?
I think he's mute. There.
Sorry, I was late getting here too, and I'm trying to figure out. Are you just wanting to see what I've got in my text editor on the screen?
Yeah, just to play with some of the commands that Jesus was talking about, just so we can kind of all like learn from it, and it's always good to just play in there. So yeah, just share what you're open up like a IRB console or a Pry if you're following, and if not, we can just tell you what it is.
Okay. What about Sublime Text? Is that not a good editor to use for?
Oh no. Yeah, you can use it, but we're gonna play just directly in the Ruby console, which is like if you're in your terminal.
Okay.
And that way you can run like Ruby commands instantly. Like you won't pre-generate them. It's pretty cool to test stuff out.
Okay. Yeah, I've got my terminal open. I just hit the green screen share button, and then you'll be able to see my terminal.
Hit the green screen share, and then it's going to give you the option of which window to share, and then just choose your terminal, and we'll be doing that. Hey, Sam, welcome. Jesus just is tidying up an awesome presentation on enumerables and the each and map method, right, Jesus?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, cool. I see your terminal, Jared.
Yeah. Now, okay. Good.
So-
Sorry. Still learning this.
No, that's totally cool. No worries.
Yeah.
How long have you been have you been learning the code?
Ruby now probably about 3 or 4 weeks.
Oh man, cool. We got you nice and
Cool.
fresh.
Yeah, I'm very new.
Welcome.
So thank
Awesome.
you. I've been working with HTML, CSS, and then the jQuery libraries and stuff too for a while. So
Nice. And I see some good Rails action going on in your terminal.
yeah, I'm working my way through the Rails guides right now.
Nice, very nice.
Yep.
All right, so let's play with your terminal for a little bit.
Sure.
Why don't you go ahead and clear your screen just so we can see the top? You know how to clear your screen pretty quickly?
No, I don't.
Just
No
type
worries.
clear, I think.
Oh, I like Command K, but clear will work also.
Okay.
I see you're on a MacBook, so Command K will work. There you go.
Cool.
So to open up a Ruby console, I don't know if you have Cry installed. You might not. So just go ahead and type in IRB. And there you go. You're in Ruby.
Okay.
So for example, if you do like puts and then quotes X or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
then you're going to get an X, and then it returns nil because there's nothing else. Do something like X equals 1. So same thing you would be doing in your Sublime, right? Now put X puts X plus 1.
Oh.
Yeah, space it out. No equals, just plus 1.
What's that?
Yeah, just go ahead. Hit enter.
Press enter.
Okay.
And there you go. See, so you're in Ruby pretty much. That's just with immediate feedback.
Okay.
All right. So you know how to set up a new array.
I've
worry if you don't.
used it once or twice, but
An array is what Jesus was talking about in his presentation, which was what I caught from it. I caught I think about 15 minutes of the last part of Jesus, which was really good. So if you start an array is just pretty much a list of things that you have. So why don't we start a new array? Just put like A. We'll call our array A.
okay.
Equals, and then open bracket, open square bracket, and then let's make a list of numbers. So maybe do 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just do up to 4, and then close that bracket. There you go. Hit enter. So now you have a new array with each of those. So that's what Jesus was talking about. So for example, if you do something like A dot each, then that would be using the method that Jesus was talking about today.
Okay.
So A dot each, and then maybe before we even get to that, A dot each, and then we'll do it in a whole line. So let's do face do, and then do like a pipe, a space, a pipe, and then do number.
Just spell out number.
Yeah, just spell it out. That's just a variable. So you're calling that variable. So what you're doing there, what Jesus was doing is, now it's going to loop through these 4 items,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to call, as it's looping through it, each one of them is going to be assigned to the variable number.
Okay.
So hit enter. It's not going to do anything yet because we're still working through this. And now put puts number, and let's multiply it times 2, just to kind of follow along with Jesus. Times 2. There you go. And then hit enter, and then do an end. Well, there you go. You see your results?
Yep.
2, 4, 6, 8.
What's he saying? Yeah.
So now we're at the point where we're talking about this command, right? If you can see in the chat window. So let's say we wanted to add 5 to that block of numbers to our A variable, which is an array. So there's two ways of doing that. One is someone wants to explain the push way without the symbols. You want to take a crack at this, Malcolm?
Yeah, sure. So basically, what push does is just does it add it to the beginning of the array, or is it to the end of the array?
Let's find out.
And
Find out. Put it. Go ahead. Tell them what command to push, and then we'll find out really quick.
at the end.
Okay, so do type A.
Hmm?
Yeah, dot push. Yeah, you had it right.
And
And
then,
then no, you would do a parentheses, and inside the parentheses is what you want to push into the array.
okay.
Keep it together. Keep it the parentheses next to the push.
You don't need it's optional the parentheses, but okay.
Yeah. We'll show you right now what he meant, what Jesus means. So they push parentheses, and let's push a 5 into there.
Okay.
Close it. Now hit enter. So you see what happened?
Yeah,
That's to
added
the
the
end
5
of it.
into the array.
There you go. Now let's test out what Jesus said, where you don't need the parentheses. So go ahead and
Oh,
delete that push. In Ruby, the parentheses are optional, and then just do a space
Oh, okay.
when you're adding something to. There you go. So now you have 2 5s in there. See?
Okay.
So that's how you add an item to the end of the array. Now, a shortcut to that, go ahead and do A again, space, and then do less than, less than.
Space. No, or just,
Together, and then do a 6. Let's throw a 6 in there now.
Okay.
Go ahead.
there it is. Okay.
So that's what Jesus was talking about in there. Does
Okay.
that make sense now as far as how that works with arrays?
Yeah, it does.
Very cool. Very cool. So yeah, actually one of my coworkers, he never uses parentheses in his code. What do you usually do, Jesus?
Sometimes I have them, other times I don't. It depends on the situation.
When do you think it's a good time for parentheses? When is it like a good time to? Who cares?
Well, if you have many arguments, you might want parentheses.
Yeah.
I also like parentheses on method definitions for the arguments.
Okay. On method definitions, you like that.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. That makes sense. So yeah, so that's what those do. Now, Jesus, would you mind going back to one of your slides, like, or just I want to kind of see what you had going there.
Yeah,
See
so
anything else, anything else we can pick at?
Is my screen share still in the way of everyone being able to see this?
It won't be on the way. It's still there, but we can switch to seeing what Jesus is sharing. So that's not.
Okay.
If you want to stop sharing, you can go ahead. But if not, then we can continue playing with that.
Okay.
You can be our lead terminal guy for right now.
All right, sounds good. I'll just.
All right, Jesus. Let's go back a couple of slides. Let's figure out or forward, whatever that is.
yeah, this slide 3.
Let's see some code.
Some code. I don't have much code on the
Oh,
slides.
okay. Wherever you have
Code.
code, let's see code.
The code, the
Yeah.
code is in the editor.
Okay, so let's see what else you got. Expand those, man. Let me see them. Why are you trying to be greedy? Let's
I have a numbers class with an array of values,
right.
and then I have my each method, my custom each method, and my custom map method.
Okay.
So
Cool.
yeah, you don't have to do this, but it helps understanding how it works.
Yeah, of course. That's what I was liking about your presentation because it lets you dig into that. Actually, the map I really like. You know, I was pretty good on how that works. But let me see your each method. That's the one that I was really interested in.
Okay.
Okay, so the each method actually uses its own counter, huh?
Mm-hmm.
While counter is less than. Okay, that makes sense. Yield values counter. Okay, so you're calling the array of that. Alright. So you can follow along, right, with the dot size is doing right there?
Yeah, I got it.
Cool. What about the yield? That's probably one that you don't use too often, especially in Rails and things like that. Yeah, Jocelyn. Anyone want to take a stab at the @ sign?
That's a new one to me.
Okay. Jesus, take it away. What does that @ sign do?
The @ sign. Okay, so this size that is variable is an instance variable. So that
Oh yeah.
means that the variable belongs to one copy of the numbers class. So I can have many numbers. I can have as many as I want. Number 1, 2, and every one of these we have its own copy of the instance variables, and the instance variables are the ones that have the @ symbol in front of them.
That makes
So that's a state for the object.
Do me a favor so we can see what that means. Can you change that values to an argument, the initialize?
Yeah, sure.
That way we can see that, each one has its own one. So change that
Yeah.
to an argument,
Done.
and then there you go. Pass it along a different.
2, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops. Well, I don't need 7, 8, 9. Yes, see, this is
I forgot how to count for a second.
I,
He knows how to code, but he forgets.
I think this is a case where I will put parentheses because I like, well, maybe not. Sometimes it's hard to tell.
All right, and can you give me new array
What's
to
syntax
put out?
error
Yeah, because
29?
you don't have the new array with each num.
Okay.
There you go. So maybe give me a. If you really want to mess with people, then why don't you throw each one of those num ones into an array and then do an each on each array.
Yeah, sure.
So we're gonna make a new array.
The numbers.
All the numbers. There you go. Equals. There you go. Num1.
And now I have to copy paste.
There you go. And then on each of those, all the numbers we're gonna do an each.
Oh my gosh.
You're making me work.
Yeah, you can't be the only one. We can't just make a Jared work. You gotta do some work too.
Okay.
All the numbers.
Yeah.
You gotta set it as an array. Equals.
Yep.
There you go.
There we go. On the results are on the right.
There you go. So you see now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now change that num.each to num.map.
Yeah. Which one?
No, there you go.
This?
Yeah, yours. The one that you coded in.
I still have the pods.
Yeah. Puts n times 2 or something. Just well, no, but your map was already changing it, right? Oh no, there you go. So there you go. Does that make sense on what's happening here?
Can we see the screen again?
You can see my screen, no?
Yeah.
Now we can.
Okay. So the problem if we do map here is that the problem you had last week is that with
We're doing the
puts,
puts.
Yeah, puts returns always nil, so it is the same as doing this.
So let's see. Let's let someone solve that right now. So let's see. Either whoever's listening right now. So we're putting the right number, but when we're returning the array, we would expect that 2, 4, and 6 to be in the array, or 8 and 10 and 12, and we're not getting it there. We're returning nil. So what is the problem here? Can someone figure it out and fix it for us?
Do I need to close my screen share so I can see his?
If you just on the bottom where you see his name, if you just click on his, you can see his.
If you click on it, yeah.
Were you able to figure that out?
Yeah, I got it. All right, thank you.
You could also stare at any one of our faces if you so choose. I wouldn't recommend it. All right, so there you go. So our challenge right now, we're trying to figure it out. We have a little problem. We're putting the right result, 2, 4, and 6. You see his atom runner right there. But we're not getting the right return on the array. We're getting nil, nil, nil. We should be getting that array with a 2, 4, and 6, 8, 10, and 12. So someone debug his code. A large part of coding, as Jocelyn I'm sure can attest to, is figuring out where you went wrong.
Yeah, like 80% of the time.
Yes, definitely. So does someone have an idea? Where did we go wrong here? Aside from letting Jesus take it away. Just kidding, all right. All right, so anyone want to debug that statement right there?
What are we hoping the return value of this block is going to be?
Those arrays to actually hold those values.
Okay. So, I mean, you could blow out the block for the map to be like a 2-line statement with do and end, and just put another line underneath it. I mean, that's probably not the most elegant way to do it, but I think that would.
So what would you do here? That's pretty much like blowing it up right there. The do and
yeah, and then I don't know. I'm used to putting an n on the the variable that we would be passing in the argument, and I'd usually put that up there, but I don't know if that makes a difference.
No, it doesn't.
And then I would add another line in between 39 and 40 that just is n times 2. I mean, that's just, or we could, when we first calculate n times 2, we could store it as something.
Okay, so go for it. What would you put there?
And asterisk 2.
Okay.
It's doing the same work twice, but I mean, I think it would.
Okay, let's try it out.
Yeah, I think it will work. Yeah.
Oh, you got it. Now, here's the question. Why was the first one not working, and why is this one working? Anyone want to take a crack at it?
I kind of forgot what the first one said already. Sorry, guys.
Comment the line 40 out, Jesus, and that way we can see.
Yeah, sure. There.
So you see how the arrays are returning nil?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. And now uncommented again, Jesus? Sorry, I'm making you work here.
There.
So why is one working and the other one isn't?
Is it because we have like a scope within the scope, so to speak? Like the number dot map is, and I guess the puts n times 2. That's like, you know, listing the 2, 4, 6 just down the row, I guess, like in different lines. But then the n times 2 underneath that, that's what's, I guess, executing the array that's underneath that. But I don't really know.
If you're following along, we're going to have Jared help us out with this one. Jared, your turn again.
I'm sitting here trying to figure out.
Let's clear your terminal again. You remember the command?
Yep.
Apple K, right? Or Command K, I mean.
Oops, did it go away?
Yeah, I think you turned it off.
There we go.
Cool. So we're in Ruby terminal. This is how Ruby interprets things, right?
Yep.
So go ahead and put A equals 2 just to do a sample. Now, the part with the equals and greater than, that's what the value being returned is. So, you know, Ruby always returns a value, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we just put A now, and then hit enter,
Nil.
what did we return? 2, because that's the value of 2. Now do something like 8 times 2.
Did you say the letter A or the number 8?
A, the variable A.
Oh.
8 times 2. So the return of that is what? 4, what we expect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now let's check this out. Go ahead and put A times 2. What is it returning?
Nil.
Because the puts is just telling it to output to the screen, but the actual return value is what?
4.
Nil, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Nil. So now let's go back to Jesus's code.
Mhm.
Let's go ahead and go to Jesus's screen. So what was the problem with line 39? What were we returning?
But
Right. It was nil because puts made it that way.
Exactly. Puts made it that way. Puts returns nil. So it outputted to our screen what we wanted, but to Ruby it returned what?
Yeah.
Nil. Now let's still be able to puts and nil, but let's do it all like a little bit cleaner. How can we do that, Jesus? Or maybe someone else wants to take a crack at it. Maybe Malcolm or Sam, if you guys are up for it. How can we return that cleaner? So where we're still putting, but we also want to make sure that we're capturing that value. Any idea?
I will just take the pods and this.
Yep. That's one way, right? We're not even worrying about what the screen is because we really just want to return the numbers. We don't care what the array looks like. So right there, current numbers equals that array. Do a print on that. I think it'll make a little bit more sense if we see it like usually arrays look. There you go. So is that making a little bit of sense on why that other one wasn't working? Any questions on that? Jared, Malcolm. I'm picking your names at random, but I got lazy in getting
I
to
think for the most
Sam and
part,
Justin.
for the most part, I've always seen the puts or print statements like at the bottom of the method usually, never like inside the method itself. Is this why?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on what you're trying to accomplish. Like, let's say we were trying to debug this, then we could put some puts in the middle of the methods to see what the value is at a certain point.
Okay.
You know, it just really depends on what you're trying to do. Puts is just outputting to your screen, but as far as Ruby's concerned, puts only returns now. It's not really doing anything for Ruby. So sometimes when you run into trouble and you're trying to follow kind of like what the code is doing, you know, put statements are like kind of bare bones way of helping you debug.
Yeah, definitely. And I like this Atom Runner, by the way. I just downloaded that because I also use Atom as my text editor.
Nice. And then Sam, for yours, that way of writing it, those brackets. Let's go ahead and do. Let's go back. Or what? Are you able to share a terminal? Let's switch it over to you for a little bit, Sam, if you're up for it.
Sure. I'm used to using Skype, so just give me a moment here to find where the screen sharing option
There's
is.
a little green icon, and then it gives you the option of what screen to share, or even if you want to just share a window, then you can just share a window also. Perfect. And you mind clearing your screen there, just so you can see? If you're on, what are you on? There you go. Cool. and then open up a Ruby. There you go. So, oh no, you're fine. Prior Ruby, that's fine. It's no big. So why don't you go ahead and just make yourself an array with a couple numbers in there, kind of like we did earlier, and assign it to a variable. That way we can cover it back. Well, that's fine. Keep doing that. Perfect. So now go ahead and do an each the way you usually do it. So let's say we were trying to do a.each puts, and we're going to put the value times 2, or times 3 if we're bored of 2.
Just in each one?
Yeah, just how you usually do it. Why?
Oh, I forgot the put statement.
There you
Sorry.
go. No biggie. There you go. Okay, so you see how you took 3 lines to write that, right? So another way of doing that is go ahead and start with your a.h, same thing. Now, instead of doing a do, just do a curly bracket. Go ahead and get rid of the do and number. Oh, there you go. The curly bracket, and then go ahead and do puts, and the same thing, number times 2. And then close the curly bracket. So those curly brackets, the beginning one and the end one, is pretty much your do and end.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just another way of writing it. One line, especially if it's nothing too complicated. Just do it in one line, and you don't have to worry about the do and the end. So that's all it's doing.
Thank you.
No biggie, no biggie. Any other questions that maybe you spotted? Like, I like to bug Jesus every time he does something, because I see like all these little tools that he uses in his code. So I'm like, hey, before you go, let me figure that part out. So you want to bring up your code again? Maybe that way everyone can take a peek at it and see if they find any other nuggets in there.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, man. So go ahead. Anyone find anything else that looks like something they haven't used before? Ask now or forever. All right. Well, I think we're good. Thanks, Jesus.
Okay.
Seriously, that was a really cool explanation. I hardly ever work with yield, so it was good to see how you're using it.
Yeah, that actually made me wonder, because I just came across the yield method in Python as well, but I wasn't really sure how that worked.
Yeah, yield. I mean, you're yielding the block to whatever you're doing that. So that's cool to see that. Well, very cool, Jesus. Thanks. I really appreciate that. Are you gonna do this presentation elsewhere also?
No, not at the moment.
No, man. Special presentation for Ruby Monday. Look at that. You gotta share those slides then.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
What happens if you don't pass a block?
Good
Oh,
question.
very good question, actually.
Yeah, perfect.
So let's do that. Num1 dot each. If you don't pass a block, you get this error here. Can you see that?
Yep.
You get no block given yield. And there is a workaround. You can do you can check if there is an error. So you can say block given, and this method will tell you if there is a block or not, and you can do something about that. For example, we can return unless, let me say, unless there is a block given. So in this case, it didn't do anything, it just returned it. If I comment this, we get the error again, that there is no block. So you can use this another thing you can do is this a bit more advanced, but you can do the to enum. I think this the correct syntax. And what this does is return a new object, which is an enumerator object, which is different from enumerable. So this is the way it's implemented in Ruby. Of course, we don't have num1 here. So let me create a new one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Dot each. You can see this here that says enumerator. So this is a new object that you can use for enumeration. And this happens because of this line. So this line is like in the real Ruby implementation in MRI, it's implemented like this. So it doesn't give you an error if you don't pass a block.
What can you do with that enumerator object now that you have it that way, back in your prime?
Yeah, you can do something like, let me see, enum, add each. You can do the next method, for example,
Oh, okay, cool.
and it gives you the next number. So it remembers where it is, and you can say next again until you are at the end. When you finish, it gives you the stop iteration exception. So there is a nice trick you can do. You can also rewind. So we can go to the start and we return to 1. See? 1, 2, I can rewind again. 1, 2, and the loop, there is the loop which is like a while but without a condition. So it's an infinite loop. But there is a small trick you can do, which is this. And loop,
It's gonna stop when there's no more next.
yeah, loop is smart enough to detect the exception. This exception, if there is any other that is not this one, the program crashes normally. But if it finds a stop iteration, then the loop stops. But if I do a normal loop, I just say puts 1, then this will go crazy. And I have to stop with Control C. I have to kill the program to stop it. But loop does this special thing with the numerator that it can detect. It can detect the end of the numerator. So that's
rewind it.
Yeah. And you can rewind and start again if you want. So that's what the enumerator does.
Loop, rewind enum next, and put enum next. Oh man. All right. That's cool, man. Very cool. Any other questions?
So in the latest version of Jesus's code, which each method are we passing there? Message, sorry. I saw you're passing an each inside of passing
cool.
the message each to enum.
So go back down. Which one are you talking about?
In line
This
10,
line?
he sends the message each.
Yes.
Which message is that? Is that the message you're defining right now, or is that the standard each method before it's been extended?
No, it is the same, the one I am defining.
So is this going to make an infinite loop as well?
No, it doesn't make an infinite loop because it doesn't return the same thing. It returns an enumerator, which is a new object. So you can create an enumerator yourself if you want. New. It's just a class.
Yeah, I think if you go back to your code,
Let me
let me know if I follow the question, okay? But You see where you have to enum each? So what you're saying is that each, you're turning it into an enum object. You're not calling each on it, but you're passing along that each. Does that make sense? Like that argument each. Where is that coming from? That method argument.
So, yes, this is a symbol, and
That
it
symbol?
represents the method name
There you go.
that will be converted. So this is the key here is the to enum method. This converts a method into an enumerator.
Okay, so Sam, does that kind of make sense or not yet?
I've never played with it, so I don't understand it. But
Let's try something out. So maybe let's see if I understood this correctly. Jesus, do me a favor, yeah?
Yeah, sure.
Change the method name, the online night.
Mm-hmm.
Change it to I don't get it method. Just I don't get it.
Okay.
Make it work.
There you go. So now, in order for this to work, we would need to change line 10, that each, to I don't get it as well, correct?
Mm-hmm.
There
But also the calls, the method
the calls, of course, the calls. Does that make sense, Sam, on where that each, what each that was talking about?
it does. I guess I don't understand what the sticking point for me is. What is that function to enumerator doing with the symbol that we're passing it?
Cool. Okay. So first, let's follow it. Let's follow it step by step, right? So go ahead and keep it at. Let's see. Let's follow the code. Let's follow the code. So when we initialize, let's take number one for example, num1. What are we passing to initialize it? What is actually the values?
It looks like an array with 1, 2, and 3.
There you go. So now when we do 1, 2, and 3, right? Now we're calling num1 each, or I don't get it, whatever we want to call it. And go ahead, there you go. So now we're saying num1, I don't get it. Now, let's go back to our method and change that to I don't get it.
And
So now it's saying
we have this each here.
yeah, I don't get it. I like these methods.
Line 41, define method and
No,
just
because that's your each. That's actually supposed to be an each.
yeah, because this is an array,
Yeah.
and the
That's
array doesn't have this.
right there. You should be calling the Ruby each.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the current numbers, we
And
can.
if, yes, because map calls each.
Yeah. There you go.
No.
There we go.
You're creating your new language.
Yeah, why not? Okay, so let's go up again.
Yeah.
Okay. So what this is saying, Sam, if you're following the code, is we initialized it with 2, 4, and 6, just to take or 1, 2, and 3. And then if we called I don't get it, then it's going to loop through each 1, 2, and 3, right? Because that's what it's saying, while counter at value size. But let's say that there is no number unless block given. So let's say we don't give it a block, then all it's going to do is take our whatever we fed into it, which is our values here, or and then it's just going to turn it into a numerator. So why don't you go into pry or something like that and just test it out. Type in a number and then go .2enum or a.2enum, anything you can.
Yeah, and I don't have. I had an like that.
Yeah, or just do anything you can. I mean, what else can you turn into an enum? Just so that we can kind of get an idea.
What else? But any method, like I think select also select. Inject no. all maybe. No, it's a few methods.
But can you call any? Can you show us something that you call to enum on? Like manually call it, like something like ab dot to enum. Is there something you can do like that?
Oh, you mean like this?
Uh-huh.
Mm, yeah, that works.
So that's kind of like what you're doing there. Yeah, on that.
Okay, I'm still confused about why it's going to work. Like, I get that the one from MRI is working. I'm confused over the one that we wrote though, but it's okay. I don't want to hold everybody up, so we can go forward.
No worries, no worries. So
I think that it's going to try to call this method. I don't like when it's using to enumerator. It's going to try to create the enumerator by using this method. I don't get it, but the problem is we're inside that method, so I don't see how it's not going to just like go infinitely down in the stack trying to call the method over and over again when we don't pass a
right,
block.
because it's not really calling the I don't get it. That to enum, it's not really calling I don't get it. What it's saying is take I don't get it and turn it into an enumerable. So you're not calling the here. Let me go back to pry
Mm-hmm.
and then do a equals nil.
Equals what?
Just do nil because that's kind of what we're doing here, right?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Nil or null?
Nil.
Yes.
Nil. Okay.
There you go. And now do to enum.
So
And
enum
then
on
no, just to enum and then the parentheses a, kind of like you have it in the code.
parentheses.
Try
Like
that out.
that.
No, and then pass it in the a.
Oh. Oh, okay. Like that.
Can you pass it?
I understand what you're saying though.
So
I'm
you're not calling that method. You're just passing it as kind of like you're passing an argument. Does that make sense? And that's why you're not going into an infinite loop.
But
Because
it's different because A is an object. It's a first class object for sure, and in the code we're using a symbol to represent the method, right?
Right, and that's why I turned
Yes.
A into just a method right here. I mean into a symbol. So you see that right here we're not calling the method. We're just saying whatever we got here, let's just turn it into an enum. And the
Okay.
other part is that it's unless block given, right? So we're only turning this as a rescue method so that we don't error if someone doesn't pass in a block. We're pretty much just not going to do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more of a rescue method than something that we're going to process.
Okay. I don't understand it still, but I have a better idea of what I need to play with to figure it out. So
Yeah, don't worry.
thank you really much for explaining it to me.
There is we all have to get a bit more advanced to explain how it works. So are you familiar with procs and lambdas?
Mhm.
So what this is doing is converting the method into a proc.
Okay.
So you can do that yourself with the method, which is a method in kernel, I believe. And you can do that with any method, for example, with puts. And now I have an object that contains this method. And then you can call this method. For example, I can say hello. And it's the same as if I said hello. So you can capture a method from any class, like if it was an standalone object. So what happened on Toenum, which I think it comes from kernel. We can check the documentation real quick. Let's see. Toenum is coming from object. it says creates a new enumerator, which we enumerate by calling method on object,
That's the
passing.
part that's confusing me. Because if we're calling the method that we're in the middle of defining, how is that not causing a problem?
Let's see. We enumerate.
But see, that's what each is.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Yeah.
literally calling each individual thing that you're listing. So it's not really changing anything. It's just, I think, identifying it. Or like stating what it is or something like that.
But if you do the to enum, it doesn't call it just creates the enum, and then the enum you can do each if you want, but if you do each, you get another enum back. You can do each infinite times, and you don't get any loop. You just get an enum back all the time until you pass a block. So if you pass a block, you have the normal execution. Yeah, I don't know where this coming up because A is nil. A is nil. 1, 2, 3. No, enum. A to enum. And no, yes, there we go.
Hey, where did you get the breakdown of the methods? Because that's really interesting, actually, like to see what Ruby is doing behind the scenes for their methods.
Well, mostly reading documentation, and also I have been reading the source code for Ruby and for Rubinius.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, if you ever want to level up your game, sorry, I'm gonna do a like a plug here, and the good thing is not for me, but it is for Jesus. He's got this course that teaches like all these type of cool things on Ruby. It's really solid. That's why it's cool to like have him on here because he really knows Ruby inside and out.
Is Rubinius meant to mean a Ruby genius?
Yeah, probably.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and feel free to share that link to your course on Slack.
Okay.
We appreciate that. Yeah. So, I mean, I hope that we got a little bit more into like Ruby and a couple of the methods. Like even on something that you think, okay, I get it, but if you start digging into how like the methods work and what you can do with them, I'm finding this very interesting in a couple last Hangouts where we're getting into the terminal and just seeing what it does. And if we have a question, instead of answering, just type into the terminal. And see, you know, what it does. And I mean, you're not going to break anything. You just exit and start over.
That's true.
And that's one of the things that I love when I found out, like, hey, I can play with all these commands in the terminal, and the worst thing that could happen is that I have to, like, Control-C and exit. Start over.
Control-C does the same thing as Command-K?
No, Command-K clears your screen. Control-C is like, here, go ahead and, Jared, go in your terminal again. And then let's give them an infinite loop, someone. Do Control-C right now because you might have something in your terminal. I'm not sure. There you go. So let's give you an infinite loop. Loop, curly bracket, puts 1. Close the curly bracket. All right. That's not going to stop. It's not going to stop.
Try Control-C.
Now you can try Control-C. There you go. Perfect. So Control-C is like you're breaking down the emergency. Taking out the axe pretty much. And now so that's what Control-C is.
Okay.
Let's say like you set up all these variables and you like forgot what you were doing, just exit, type in exit, and now you're out of your Ruby console.
Okay. Got it.
If you one cool thing that you're gonna enjoy if you start playing a lot on the terminal is the Pry gem. I don't know if you have it or not. Type in Pry. No. So just don't feel forced to do that. But it's a really cool gem, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of stuff in the terminal. It's pretty much a Ruby terminal, like the one you did with IRB, but with like some nice upgrades.
Okay.
And it's just Pry. If you want to install it, it's just Pry. I talked someone into Pry. Nice. And here goes Jesus. If you can see his screen, because he forgot he's still sharing, here he is reading all the documentation. That's why he knows so much. He's reading Ruby source code right now at 4:30 in the morning.
He's cheating. I'm kidding.
4:30 in the morning. Where are you, Jesus?
Jesus is in Spain.
Really Jesus.
Oh wow.
He's no sleep.
No sleep. All right, so try Pry now, Jared. Type in Pry.
Here we go.
And then clear your screen again. And do A equals, and then do a array, whatever you want to throw into your array.
Okay. Just make it simple.
Yeah, that's fine. So you see you have a little bit, like now do something like a.each do, and then do maybe call your variable pipe x or something.
Oh, what? I'm sorry.
Do and then do the pipes, the like straight line.
Oh.
X. Hit enter. So you see how you have like now a little bit of the syntax highlighting and things like that. Puts X and then end.
And on the same line?
No, different line.
Okay.
So you have the syntax highlighting. Once you start working with a couple more features, you'll see a lot of the benefits of Pry. It's just something cool to have.
Thank you.
So. All right. Any other questions? Well, I gotta jump off, so sorry about that. But I'm gonna stop the broadcast. But if Jesus or someone else wants to continue hanging out, I don't think the hangout closes if I stop the broadcast. So feel free to continue hanging out.
Jesus, maybe I can ask you a question here.
Sure.
You don't feel like you have to keep the broadcast going or whatever.
No, I'll keep it going. Maybe it's a good question.
I'm still hung up on the same thing, so maybe it won't be a good question, but
No worries, man.
So I tried to write the.
Let me stop it just to make sure it doesn't kill the broadcast for you all.
Okay.
That way I gotta start driving. But let me stop it and hopefully it doesn't kill anything. All right. So thanks everyone.
Thank you.
All right, take it easy. Thanks.